हेलो बेबे।
कोई लड़की देखो मेरा दिल दीवाना बोले ओले 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 राम तराना यारा झूम झूम के होले होले ओले 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 मुझको लुभाती है जवानियाँ मस्ती लुटाती जिंदगानियाँ माने न पागल मस्त कौन सा तो ये ओले 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 जब भी कोई लड़की देखो मेरा दिल दीवाना बोले ओले ओले
हाँ बेबी व्हाट्सअप।
हमारे पास भी आज आ जाओ ना। आती क्या, इस टूटे दिल की तुम दवा हो।
सुभान अल्लाह माशाल्लाह।
सेक्सी गर्ल।
यहाँ चिकनी क्या माल है,
क्या पोटी है बाप, क्या पोटी है बाप, क्या पोटी है बाप।
Eve-teasing is a form of sexual harassment. It refers to the biblical First Lady and includes anything from lecherous glances to unwanted touching. According to the National Crime Records Bureau, violence against women is the fastest growing crime in India. Very true. It's an everyday situation for most of us. There are many questions surrounding this issue. Like, are women asking for it? Should they retaliate or remain silent? Are we trivializing the act of sexual violence by calling it Eve-teasing? And how long do we have to fight against this evil?
Every day, when I step out of my house, I have to think about what to wear, which road to take, play down my beauty, only because I was told that if I dress in a certain way, walk in a certain way, I would attract attention. But no matter what I wear, how much I try to downplay my beauty, there is always someone trying to touch me or staring at me. When I talk to others about it, some understand, but some say, forget it, chalta hai yaar.
Eve-teasing is anything that makes me feel uncomfortable about my gender.
By either looking at them or making noises or statements that are of a unfriendly and callous nature.
It's a very mild form of sexual harassment.
It is kind of a sexual harassment according to me.
One day, when I was walking on the road, two men came rushing towards me. One said, "Catch hold of this bitch." The other one took a closer look at me and said, "But she isn't a whore." I was shocked. I wanted to yell at the top of my voice. I wanted to retaliate, but I could not. It's past, but it still haunts me, and maybe it will continue to. Do we just call this Eve-teasing? Or is this harassment?
See, in sexual harassment will be means done between the two peoples who are of different positions, like an employee or worker, like a sir or teacher or student. It is like that. So sexual harassment is means compelling someone for something.
I think Eve-teasing and sexual harassment is entirely different, because Eve-teasing is when a guy, any guy just passes by you and just passes a comment saying, "Hey bulbul, kya lag rahi ho," and all that, "Kya maal hai," and all that. So, and sexual harassment is when somebody, they pour acid on you. You've seen cases many like that, and they touch you and go, they take a blade and cut you. So,
yeah, I think Eve-teasing is a form of sexual harassment.
It's more or less the same, because Eve-teasing is just a beginning for sexual harassment. If Eve-teasing goes to some more higher extent, it might be called a sexual harassment.
Eve-teasing, you see, is a lighter thing as compared to outraging the modesty of a woman.
Sometimes there's a thin line between Eve-teasing and sexual harassment, but things like stalking or touching, that's totally sexual harassment. That's like not even Eve-teasing.
लड़की रास्ते पे चल रही थी, तो वो बाइक पे जा रहा था, तो जाते जाते उसको मार के ऐसा पीछे मार के चला गया।
And even somebody says something about your looks, that is sexual harassment because they are talking about your sexuality at the end of the day.
ये अपने आप को समझती क्या है रे?
जहाँ हम जाएंगे वहीं हम जाएंगे, जहाँ वो जाएगी वहीं हम जाएंगे.
Every day I am looked at, touched or groped. Sometimes I am stalked, followed home. Sometimes I take a bath and scrub myself just to wipe away those comments. Sometimes I wake up at night screaming, having dreamt of men touching me. Sometimes I believe I am what the men tell me I am. In such cases, is it okay to just call it Eve-teasing? Are we not trivializing the whole act by calling it Eve-teasing?
Just by using the word teasing, which is like, school kids taunting each other in the schoolyard, which in itself can become very serious and have lifelong consequences for some kids. The size, the impact of these kind of events actually becomes very, very obvious when someone actually goes and hurts themselves because no action was taken. But yes, I do feel that society trivializes this by calling it Eve-teasing. I think our legal system is not taking this seriously enough.
టీజింగ్ బాధ భరించలేక 15 ఏళ్ల యువతి ఆత్మహత్య చేసుకుంది. దీనికి సంబంధించి మరింత సమాచారాన్ని మా ప్రతినిధి శ్రీనివాస్.
ప్రేమోన్మాదులు పెట్టిరిగిపోతున్నారు. వెంటపడి ప్రేమించమని వేధిస్తున్నారు. తమ మాట వినకుంటే యాసిడ్ పోస్తామని హెచ్చరిస్తున్నారు.
ఏ జిజికా రా ఇట్రా. ఆగమంటే ఆగవేందే? రాకపోతే నీ ఇంటికెళ్ళి నీ అమ్మ మీద యాసిడ్ పోస్తా. రావే ఇట్రావే ఇట్రా. ఈ స్కూల్కి వెళ్ళి రానికి ఇంత లేట్ అయిందే? మేమంతా నితానా చూస్తా ఉంటే నువ్వేంది గట్లకెళ్ళి వెళ్తున్నావు? నేను నచ్చలేదా? చెప్పే నా మొహం చూసి చెప్పు. నాతో తిరిగి తారిపోతావా? ఎందుకే గుస్స తెప్పిస్తావు? ఎందుకే? నా గుస్స వచ్చిందంటే చెప్పురా.
మా వాడికి ఏం తక్కువే? మీరు బాటిల్ ఎత్తాడంటే దించకుండా లాగించేస్తాడు. ఇంకా దీంతో మీటింగ్ ఏంటన్నా? యాసిడ్ కొట్టు.
అరే స్వామి బాటిల్ ఇరా.
బాటిల్
తెలుసా? తెలుసా?
పోయినా పోయినా పోయిరా పోయి చూస్తామంటే పోయిరా.
Our Salvador, math, English and physical education teacher in the school used to Eve-tease their daughters, also made obscene MMSs of their daughters.
Eve-teasing is a very trivialized word, but I think a lot of people now are taking that seriously, Even though it's still the same term, people know how it feels to be Eve-teased. And if something like this leads to suicide, it's definitely a lot of psychological trauma. Otherwise, why would some girl go suicide?
మన కాలనీలో ఇట్లాంటి పొరు కూడా తిరుగుతుంది.
హలో
I have friends who are girls, who are teased when they are alone, when they are in a group, and even when they are with me. I am a man, but I do not necessarily understand why do men indulge in it.
Most of them would want to do this because they want to draw attention. They feel that this is something which is very heroic, show off.
These guys lack the intelligence, the communication skills to enter a meaningful interaction with a lady.
ऐसा टाइम पास भी बहुत कोटे रहते हैं, टाइम पास करते रहते हैं.
Most of them are jobless.
टाइम पास करते हैं.
Jobless.
for fun also boys will do.
Maybe the boys do not want to see the girls in this kind of dress. They just want to make them aware or conscious, which should not be worn by the girls. And sometimes, for some girls, it's fine that they can carry themselves with the kind of dress that they are wearing.
Why is it that a girl can't wear what she wants to wear?
Our community, our society is not yet prepared to accept all dresses. So one thing we are looking for then, something where you have to dress appropriately.
The reality is that women are seen as objects, and so when women dress in ways that men think are provocative, there may be situations that arise. I mean, in an ideal world, I would say no, women should not pay attention to these things. They should dress exactly the way they want. But it's not an ideal world.
साला, एक तो ये आधे आधे कपड़े पहनकर हमारा खून गर्म करती हो, हमें इनवाइट करती हो, और फिर ये सती सावित्री होने का नाटक करती हो, हाँ?
We should not give chance to boys by wearing such dresses. Naturally, they will be attracted and they will pass comments. So it's better don't give them a chance.
See, provoking again, it depends on one's thinking. If somebody says if they are clothes, they are after all being sold in the market, is available. You pay a cost for it and buy it, and because you like it, you buy it. It is as simple as that. It is your wish and will as to what you wear and what you should not wear again. So I don't think that should become a reason for somebody to harass a female.
I can do whatever I want. This is a democracy. I can dress the way I want. I can look the way I want. I can walk the way I want. What if I'm a trained ramp model? I have that sway in my walk. So what? That doesn't give anybody a right to say something about it.
అటువంటి వేసుకోవడం వల్ల కుర్రకారు ఇలా చేస్తారు. అట్లా షార్ట్ క్లోత్స్ వేసుకుంటేనే కుర్రాళ్ళు వాళ్ళని రెచ్చగొట్టేది వీళ్ళే ఫస్ట్. ఎవరు రెచ్చగొడతారు? అమ్మాయిలే రెచ్చగొడతారు ఫస్ట్. అమ్మాయిలు అటువంటి డ్రెస్ వేసుకోవడం వల్ల అబ్బాయిలకు అలా అనిపిస్తుంది.
It's our freedom. It's our choice. If you have the figure, you want to wear a particular style of clothing, and believe me, there are times where I have worn a skirt and nothing has happened, and I'm like covered from head to toe in salwar kameez, and I've been teased more.
I don't think it's justified at all to say she was wearing this, so I groped her, or she was wearing this, so I said this. I think that's not fair, and it shouldn't be a valid excuse. At the same time, I take care not to wear anything that will set off any reactions from people.
A woman is raised always to live for others, to feed a man's ego and be submissive to his needs. She is taught to bear everything without uttering a word. Retaliation means overstepping the lines the society has set for her. They say the world is changing and women are now equal. Is it really?
I would tell my daughter, okay, if a person is teasing you first time, you just ignore him. But if he continues doing it, to go either hit him in the private place, or if she's traveling in the bus and someone pinches her bottom, next time just take out a septic pin and give it back to him.
Definitely she should turn back and give answer in such situations.
And then even in the buses, when we are holding the rods over there, the boys used to come and they would just put their hands over on us, and then they would just either do something like that, or they just as if when the bus is full, they just fall over us when the driver stops and all that. But even then I just ignored it. I thought ignorance is the best thing, which if we respond, then they would be responding more. So I felt best is ignorant. Ignore them totally.
अब लड़की जा रही है, उसको इतना साइलेंट बना दो, रिएक्ट मत करो बेटा, रिएक्ट मत करो, कुछ भी बोल दो, रिएक्ट मत करना. She will silently walk. That fellow will keep doing what he's kept on doing. You're provoking them to do it. You should react sometimes. I'm not telling फालतू में अभी ये हे बेबी बोल गया, मैं उसके पीछे जाके चप्पल पकड़ के मारूँ, ये हे बेबी क्यों बोला. That is not the thing. There is a limit and there is a reaction for everything.
There was a senior at school, and apparently one day she was like wearing a mini skirt, and she was walking on the street. She had to go somewhere, and there were these two guys on a bike who just drove by, and then they were like, "Arey zara aur utha, dikh jata." And then she looked at them and she was like, "Main kai ko uthau, tu jhuk." So apparently those guys, they just got scared and they went away. So I think that if you just give it back to them and say something to their face, they just go away. So that's how you should
I would try to ignore. But when it comes to touching, then I think I'm a little bit trained enough to handle myself for that.
Not retaliation is not correct. ఎప్పుడు కూడా అది కరెక్ట్ కాదు. Yeah, definitely it is not correct. సింపుల్గా కావాలంటే ఒక కంప్లైంట్ చేయొచ్చు.
It's in this country I've realized it's easier to pay hooligans and get things done rather than going to the law.
Do you go and complain to the police or
No.
your family?
Family, no. Family, first of all, no. Police, though, out of question.
I mean, I would have to go to the police if I didn't have any other option, but I wouldn't feel like it was that a lot could be done. I mean, I don't think in general a lot can be done if you go to the police here. Because I feel like they're very lackluster about it. They have so many other things to deal with or whatever. It's not a priority in our society for women to be safe.
I mean, whatever might happen, if we go report, we have to just roam around to that place, and it's ulta insult of ours only roaming for that, fighting for it. So it's better to just shut your mouth and move on.
Though the Indian Penal Code does not define the term eve-teasing, there are 3 sections in IPC to deal with it. Section 509. Word, gesture, or act intended to insult the modesty of a woman. Section 294. Obscene acts and songs. Section 354. Assault or criminal force to woman with intent to outrage her modesty. The laws are there, but it is the mindset of the people that has to change. Would scrapping the term eve-teasing and replacing it with street sexual harassment change the seriousness of the situation?
I'm fine with it. I think as long as it's not physical, I personally think eve-teasing is appropriate.
Changing a term will not make much of a difference. Changing the action taken will make a lot of difference. And when you know of some boy who went to jail because he eve-teased, I think it's going to affect a lot of other boys.
You can scrap any word what you like. Reality doesn't change with changing words. Just as all Indians will continue to use the word prepone, which doesn't exist in the English language.
The term eve-teasing gives it a certain playfulness and a certain casualness that should not be encouraged. I think certainly we should just forget the term, lose it altogether, and it's just a form of sexual harassment. It's a form of gender-based discrimination or attention, So I think we should just obliterate that word from our vocabulary.
It appears as if the Indian cinema has portrayed eve-teasing as way of approaching the girl for courtship. It is often seen in Indian movies that the protagonist flirts with his female counterpart by teasing her or sometimes even kissing her in public places to show his love. But one cannot deny that there is a vulnerable set of populace who tend to believe that this is reality and apply the same methods in their own lives. In fact, there have been many instances in the past where men have indulged in acts of sexual harassment similar to the ones shown in movies.
It influences both the men and the women, I think. On the one hand, I think young men tend to think that this behavior is actually appreciated by girls. And so it just serves to, perpetuate that kind of behavior. For the girls, what tends to happen is they think that they stop seeing the deeper reason, why this happens, and they also feel happy about it, because if they see it happening in movies, then it must be okay. So I think it's damaging on both men and women, and it is a problem. So we need to recognize that young people need to be made aware of these underlying problems with movies.
Maybe earlier it did, but now I don't think so it does anymore. Everybody's grown out of it.
When I saw Partner, I think there's this song called Maria Maria and stuff. I mean, come on. You like a girl and you go right behind, oh, Maria Maria, and some other stupid Spanish and Hindi words mixed together, and bus, she's going to fall flat for you and be the mother of your children.
Maria Maria, Maria Maria, Señorita Maria, Maria Maria.
A lot of people, as I told you, who don't have as much exposure or because of their financial or social background, they will, you can't even blame them because they're watching all this and they think that this is how it's done.
So it's hard to say whether that shows up in films because it already exists in our society, or that, you know, exists in our society because it's in films. Because films reflect society, right? And again, it probably reflects how men look at women, right? And it probably reflects how a man can think, oh, if I get her attention by doing this. I mean, it's like kids go to the zoo here and throw stones at the animals, you know? Something similar. Like, it's a weird analogy, I know, but it's like you get their attention with that.
Oh, man. She should be here any minute. I better bring out the reinforcements. These here doggy treats should show her that I love animals. Chicks dig that. Hey there, little lady.
Do you mind? You're in my way.
Yeah, I know. Say, you smell kind of pretty. Wanna smell me?
So I don't know how people insist personally between their relations, but if a woman can't insist to a man that he needs to be respectful when he addresses her or when he gets her attention, then that's their personal relation also that's really awkward. And in general, families sometimes have bad equations between men and women. So it reflects our society's view of women again, and that's bad.
The latest headcount or census figures for India have confirmed the worst drop in the number of girls in comparison to boys since independence. Though not directly, violence against women in India is to a good extent responsible for these figures, and it remains to be seen whether this trend changes or not.
At the end of the day, no one can win this battle for us. Every woman has to fight it out on her own. Yet, I believe that there will be a day when security of women would be the priority of the society. And even if it doesn't, I won't regret being a woman.